Let the forfeit be nominated for an equal pound of your fair flesh, to be cut off and taken in what part of your body pleaseth me.
Imagine signing a contract for a loan. You read the terms and conditions. Interest rates, late fees, collateral, standard stuff. But then you reach the final clause. If you miss your payment by a single day, the lender gets to take a knife, carve open your chest, and remove exactly 1 pound of your flesh. Avoid signing it. You'd laugh. You'd call the police. But in William Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice, a wealthy, respected businessman named Antonio signs exactly that bond. And when his ships are lost at sea, the man holding the contract comes to collect. I'm your director of studies, and today we're diving into one of Shakespeare's most controversial, uncomfortable, and utterly spellbinding plays. The Merchant of Venice is officially categorized as a comedy. It ends with marriages, wealth, and poetry. But at its dark, beating heart, this is a play about prejudice, revenge, the corrupting power of money, and the terrifying limits of the law. So, how did we get to a courtroom where a man is legally permitted to murder his rival? To understand that, we need to understand the world they live in. Pack your bags. We are going to Venice. Venice, the jewel of the Adriatic, a republic built on water and sustained by gold. Think of Shakespeare's Venice as the 16th century equivalent of Wall Street mixed with the City of London. It is the global hub of international trade. Silks from the east, spices, exotic woods, and massive, massive fortunes. It's cosmopolitan, glamorous, and completely ruthless. In Venice, money isn't just currency. Money is power. Money is reputation. But this immense wealth is built on a very fragile foundation, the law. Because Venice relies on foreign merchants to survive, its laws must protect everyone's commercial contracts. If the state starts breaking contracts, investors will flee and the city will fall. 2-second pause. And that strict adherence to the law is what makes Venice so dangerous. It's a city deeply divided by religion and race. The Christian majority holds the political power, while the Jewish minority is pushed to the margins. By law, Jewish people in Venice were forced to live in a segregated area called the ghetto. They were locked in at night. They were barred from most professions. They were permitted only to trade in second-hand goods and to lend money. Exactly, money lending. The Christians, governed by strict religious doctrines, considered charging interest on a loan, a practice they called usury, to be a terrible sin. But a booming commercial city needs credit. It needs loans to fund its massive trading ships. So the Christian merchants relied on the Jewish moneylenders to do the dirty work they supposedly despised. This is the powder cake Shakespeare builds his play upon. A city that forces a marginalised group to handle its money and then despises them for doing it. Enter Shylock. Shylock is arguably Shakespeare's greatest, most complex creation outside of Hamlet. He is a Jewish moneylender, and for centuries, audiences and actors have argued over exactly what he is. Is he a bloodthirsty comic villain, or is he a tragic victim of relentless, systemic abuse? Let's look at the facts. Shylock is approached by Bassanio, a young Christian aristocrat who is terrible with money. Bassanio needs 3,000 ducats to woo a wealthy heiress. He asks his best friend, the merchant Antonio, to guarantee the loan.
I am as like to call thee so again, to spit on thee again, to spurn thee too.
That's Antonio, the supposed good guy of the play. He openly admits to spitting on Shylock in the street, calling him a dog and kicking him. Yet he has the audacity to ask Shylock for a massive loan. And Shylock agrees, but he doesn't ask for interest.
He asks for that merry bond, a pound of Antonio's flesh if the debt isn't repaid. Why? Shylock has been spat on, degraded, and stripped of his dignity. The bond is a trap born of deep, festering trauma.
He hath disgraced me, and hindered me 500,000, laughed at my losses, mocked at my gains, scorned my nation. And what's his reason? I am a Jew. Hath not a Jew eyes? Hath not a Jew hands, organs, dimensions, senses, affections, passions? If you prick us, do we not bleed? And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge?
If you wrong us, shall we not revenge? Shylock isn't an alien monster. He is a mirror reflecting the brutality of Venice back onto the Christians. They treat him like an animal, and so he decides to bare his teeth. The pound of flesh isn't about business. It is about a desperate, terrifying demand for equality, even if it's an equality of cruelty.
But Venice is only half the story. Just across the water lies Belmont.
Belmont. A world of music, moonlight, and immense inherited wealth.
If Venice is gritty reality, Belmont is a fairy tale. This is the home of Portia, the brilliant, beautiful heiress Bassanio is desperate to marry. But Portia is trapped by her own legal bond. Her dead father left a bizarre will. Any man who wants to marry Portia must choose between 3 caskets, one of gold, one of silver, and one of lead. Pick the right one, you get Portia and her fortune. Pick the wrong one, you leave empty-handed and must swear never to marry anyone else. This is the famous casket test, and it's not just a fairy tale trope, it's a brilliant thematic echo of Venice. In Venice, men gamble with ships and flesh. In Belmont, they gamble with their futures.
Gold. Who chooseth me shall gain what many men desire.
Too obvious. The Prince of Morocco picks gold, thinking Portia is the ultimate prize. He opens it to find a skull and the famous warning. All that glisters is not gold. Then comes silver. Silver. Who chooseth me shall get as much as he deserves.
The arrogant Prince of Aragon picks silver, assuming he deserves the best. He gets a picture of an idiot. Finally, Bassanio arrives. He looks past the shiny metals and chooses lead. Lead. Who chooseth me must give and hazard all he hath. Give and hazard all he hath. That is the true nature of love in Shakespeare's eyes. It's not about taking what you desire or claiming what you deserve. It's a risk. It's a sacrifice. Bassanio wins Portia. But before they can even finish their celebrations, news arrives from Venice. Antonio's ships have sunk. The bond is forfeit. Shylock is sharpening his knife.
The climax of the play takes place in the Venetian courtroom. It is a collision of the two worlds. Antonio is strapped down. Shylock stands ready with his scales and his blade. The Duke of Venice is helpless. He cannot break the law to save Antonio without destroying the city's reputation. But then, a young legal scholar arrives from Padua. His name is Balthazar. Except it isn't. It's Portia, disguised as a man, infiltrating the male-dominated court of Venice to save her husband's best friend. The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It's one of the greatest speeches in the English language. Portia begs Shylock to show mercy. She argues that justice is rigid, but mercy is divine. It is the attribute of God himself. Shylock refuses. He demands the law. He demands his bond. And so, Portia gives it to him. Tarry a little. There is something else. This bond doth give thee here no jot of blood. The loophole! Portia tells Shylock he can have exactly 1 pound of flesh, but the contract doesn't mention blood.
If he spills a single drop of Christian blood while taking his flesh, all his lands and goods will be confiscated by the state of Venice. It's a brilliant, stunning reversal. Shylock is defeated. He drops the knife. But Venice isn't done with him. Having trapped him, the Christian court decides to crush him. They strip him of his wealth, and, in a final, devastating blow of psychological cruelty, Antonio demands that Shylock abandon his faith and convert to Christianity. I pray you, give me leave to go from hence. I am not well. I am not well. Those are his final words. He shuffles out of the courtroom, utterly broken, effectively erased from society. The Christians head back to Belmont to celebrate their victory under the moonlight. But as an audience, we are left feeling distinctly uneasy.
The Merchant of Venice is a comedy that leaves a bitter taste in your mouth. Shakespeare forces us to confront uncomfortable truths. We see a justice system manipulated by the wealthy. We see prejudice dressed up as righteousness. And we see how the desire for revenge can rot a person from the inside out. Whether you view Shylock as a villain who got what he deserved, or a victim who was pushed over the edge, one thing is certain: Shakespeare gives us no easy answers. Flesh and blood are weighed against gold and silver, and in the end, everybody pays a terrible price. This video was brought to you by Director of Studies, and if you enjoyed this content, we have other premium, in-depth content where we cover themes, characters, and GCSE exam board specifics on our website, directorofstudies.com. Until next time, keep reading between the lines. All that glisters